that one of the reasons people go vegan is lack of consent. The animals are not consenting to be killed so you can eat them. So ethically local sourced human meat is vegan.
So what I'm thinking, you freaking donkey, is take up that bloody sword and go stab that soldier on the freaking head with it. Now.
Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. Hokey smokes. I feel 10,000% better than I did yesterday. It's a weird feeling to not be sick, and yet feel sick as a dog. I mean, horrible headache. My skin hurt, my muscles hurt. I was just sleepy. I spent most of the day asleep in this chair. It was unpleasant. And yet at the same time, it wasn't because I was sick. In fact, they just said, take it easy because you'll feel bad and drink water. You won't be sick. You're just going to feel bad. So yeah, yesterday I felt like I got hit by a Mack truck. And today I'm feeling a lot better. Still have a slight headache. I still have a slight bit of ouchies on my skin and my muscles. Up here where I got the shot, still tender. But oh, it is so much better to feel better. And of course, front loading of YouTube videos. If you could toss me a like, that'd be very cool. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would be very awesome. If you could leave me a comment, that'd be very cool. I read them all. I thumbs up each one I do. I answer as many as I can. Definitely cool. And of course, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and literally awesome people are literally beautiful and literally awesome. That is very, very cool. I'm trying to remember how long I should keep my hands in the air. So hopefully I don't keep them up too long or not long enough or such. My wrists are starting to hurt, so that's probably time. Thank you each and every one of you for supporting me and helping to keep me and my pets alive. And if you'd like to help me stay alive, links in wherever the video description is. Front loading of videos over, thumbs up for that. So yeah, I feel better. And thank goodness, I changed my stuff around on here. I put up a new duck head. I did a little bit of cleaning up. I had some empty bottles I need to put into a bag. Excuse me. I have a little garbage container next to me down there. I had to empty that out. So I did a little cleaning this morning. Yay. Yesterday, I did a short walkies to the store and back. Straight to the store, straight back. Felt terrible, but did it. So, yeah. Ugh. Now, there are some things that I do want to talk about. I got some things on my list here. One of them is I watched a video on a guy who was a streamer and then for years was just vilified because on one of his streams, he was in a wheelchair. He stood up and walked and people tore him apart and just his rep got ruined for like almost a decade. But the thing is, if you're disabled and you need a wheelchair, you don't always need a wheelchair 24/7. My wife had severe heart issues. She used a wheelchair. I pushed her around when we went out. She didn't have to walk on it when she got to where we were going, so she would frequently get up and go places, and she walked around here in the house. She needed a chair to travel around, but for short distances, yeah, she'd hop up out of her chair. She would be one of those streamers, if she had done that sort of thing, where, yeah, she'd sit in a chair and then stand up and walk for the short distances if she had to go to the bathroom. Toward the end, I had to help her walk places nice and slow to help keep her standing and not falling down and such. But until that point, yeah. So it's not always a bad thing to get up and walk if you're in a wheelchair. Especially since he had been confined to a wheelchair for several years and then went through therapy and was using the chair for its intended reason. You sit in it when you are too tired and too sore to walk, but when you can, you walk. So it's not always as easy as it seems. Hokey smokes. Let me see what else I have. I don't have a lot to talk about because nothing happened yesterday, so I'm going to talk about the few things I have and do what I can, and then we'll see what happens. I watch the channel MXR Plays with Jeannie and Henry, and they're a very young couple, mid-20s, and he's, I think, Taiwanese descent, and she's Korean descent, which is completely unimportant, except for the fact that they play on it too. and they're always calling each other racist and stuff like that. So it's fun and it's funny. One of the things that was happening, I gotta check to make sure on this, the other day they had a guest person working with them while they were reviewing memes. And her name is, let's see if I wrote it down, hopefully I did, Gina Darling. She's a young streamer. I don't watch like many streamers, and my interests in things are weird. So mainstream streaming and such, I don't really watch a lot of normal things. Ugh, my denture cream. Ugh, it's got a lot of mineral oil and stuff, and so it leaks out. Yay. But as Gina Darling, they were talking about things, she started mentioning that she has an interest in ethically sourced human meat. And so she asked Jeannie and Henry, would you eat ethically sourced human meat? Remember, ethically sourced. And at that point, I fell in love. Just the idea of, hey, yeah, would you eat ethically sourced human meat? And that's the thing, ethically sourced. But I have to add the proviso, shop local. So you have to get ethically, locally sourced human meat. And they came to the conclusion that one of the reasons people go vegan is lack of consent. The animals are not consenting to be killed so you can eat them. So ethically, local sourced human meat is vegan because there's consent. Huh. How about that? Now, she was just talking about that in a goofy fashion, but the thing that really made me fall in love with her, absolutely, was they were showing a picture of like cute animals and such, and then she was going, oh, I'd keep them. But you know, I'd probably combine my interests and just feed them ethically sourced human meat. At which point, of course, Jeannie and Henry were shocked and horrified. And I was just, oh my God, yes. Yes, please. So, yeah, I have a non-fetish, non-kink interest in people being eaten. You may notice that people get eaten a lot in my Razor's Edge stories. I personally think that human beings should be eaten by animals much more often than we are. I'm not a psychopath, especially since my level of empathy is so high, I can't even hurt people's feelings without feeling terrible. But just as a fictional thing, that's what I like. I think it's interesting, and I enjoy that thing in fiction and such. Not real life, again. But fiction, yeah. Would I eat locally sourced, ethically sourced human meat? Probably. I don't really see any difference between us and the creatures of the field. We're just social colony creatures, so yeah. Yay! So, non-psychopathically, one of the other things that I've got, I was just thinking about because I've thought about this for a time, and it's wrapped up because I can't control my creativity. When I've tried in the past to control it, it doesn't really work. I've mentioned how I just sort of push it and then follow along to see where it goes. I have been a fan of cosmic/existential horror most of my life without even realizing, because I gravitated toward that sort of story. These days, I've been analyzing my interest and analyzing the stories, so I know sort of why I like these things, and others I don't. There is a type of story I like there's a Polish author, Stanislaw Lem, who did a great bunch of stories, and they made movies out of some of his work, but one of them was a great bureaucratic existential horror of this one person trying to get through the labyrinthine machine of this bureaucratic place, and it was just a literal nightmare, an existential nightmare, and it would have made for a horror film. And I love that sort of thing. Not because it's good, but because it's not dystopia. I've further thought about this morning because I don't have a choice. I was just awake and wandering and started thinking about this, not even awake yet. Whew, I am sweating. I am just gone from not too hot to really hot. And I have that spider still up there. I don't know if it's alive. It may have died. It doesn't look like it was an inside spider, and unfortunately, I think it dehydrated. But I have an interest in the existential horror of these bureaucratic nightmare places. And I have, this morning, while just halfway awake thinking about it, been working on something in my head. Because these are traps, existential traps that are created. They're not necessarily start off this way, but for reasons they become this way. A bureaucratic existential nightmare where I'd say a good 75 to 80% of the people that go into these places have a terrible, terrible time, but come out of it okay. There is a smaller subset of these people that they only think they're in there for like 8, 10, or 12 hours, but when they get out, is weeks. Weeks have passed. And of course, there is an even smaller subset of people, like that was in that story I was talking about, where you don't come out. The inside of the building is so much larger than the outside. There is always deeper to go. There is always another layer of bureaucracy. There's always more. And the deeper you go, the smaller your chances you're going to be getting back out. Now, just talking about this, does this sound like kind of a pitcher plant type thing? Where, once you fall in, you can't get out? And there's that thing that wants to just eat? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not going to try and push that. I just like the idea right now. And if I've got anything further to go on it, my brain will work on it. But I just like that. I think it's cool. A couple days ago, weeks ago? Some time ago, I mentioned the infinite toilet dimension and how I often don't remember my dreams. For over a decade now, I have not remembered my dreams. I used to remember them all vividly. Well, the seconds around the time I woke up, in instances that were just fascinating. And then nothing. Last night, I had a bit of a dream that I remember. And it was not an infinite toilet dimension dream, but it was me going into a bathroom in like a bureaucratic place. There was a row of stalls, and at the very end, in like a space maybe this big, there was a little door, and inside of that stall that you'd have to go in sideways, there was a urinal at the end. I decided in dream I had to go check this cubicle out. Of course, people kept coming into the bathroom, and I had to wait until they rolled in stalls, at which point I woke up, so. But it was a weird dream, in that, it was mundane, but normal. But yeah, mundane but normal. Mundane and normal, but also odd, because who would make a thing like that? That was the minor oddness. Usually my dreams are pretty weird. This one was minor league, but that's okay. Yay. It's nice to be able to remember dreams. I even like my nightmares. Thumbs up on that. And then last thing on here, I was watching another video. There are some people on YouTube that are absolutely insane, and it's probably dangerous and bad for them, but I, as an outsider, don't know if I want it to change. And what I mean by that is there's like this one person who's like Mud Fossil University, something like that, they call their channel. They believe that rocks are fossils made of like giants and such like that. And they'll show pictures of like a rock that looks like a foot and say, this is obviously a fossil of a foot. Show up a rock that looks like a duck head and say, this is obviously a fossil of a duck head. It's just a rock that looks like a duck head. But he goes through and points out all these things around the world where obviously this is muscle. Obviously these are blood vessels. And it's the side of a cliff. So he's a lunatic. And he's trying to actually get a real university together. That's dangerous delusion. That's not reality. I don't know that I want him to stop. Just as I've also found that there are, in the past, I haven't been watching these anymore, but there are people that believe that these basalt columns that come out of ancient volcanoes, that these basalt columns are the stumps of ancient silicon trees that we all cut down and there are no more of. But the Earth used to be covered in all these silicon trees that went up into space, and now these basalt columns from extinct volcanoes are their stumps. And it's lunatic, because that's not the way it works. But I don't know if I want them to stop. As bad for themselves and others as it is. The human brain. Gotta love it. And of course, I've opened up 24 hours of comments on my community tab. I didn't say that properly. Hopefully you understood what I meant. I'm going to go through and thank however many people left me comments in the past 24 hours. Not many, but thank you. It is appreciated. We have... Yes, I actually did do it. I called it up and I had a Twitter page instead of my comments page, and I was momentarily thoroughly flummoxed. Confused Owl 29, thumbs up and thank you, good to see you. The Skull Kid, greatly appreciated. Daniel Fuller, thumbs up and thank you, and oh boy, I am so sorry that you were hospitalized for that. And Gracie D, I think it kind of looks like this big smiley face on its side though. And then we have Ben B, thumbs up and thank you. X Sind, greatly appreciated. Jesse Koskinen, thumbs up, good to see you. KLOBASOVY, Crawl, thumbs up and thank you. Charity Giver GT, greatly appreciated. That's it. Thumbs up and thank you. Each and every one of you, the 6 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. You get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only for a very short time, and only in text. Thumbs up. And hey, if I can remember how the rest of this goes, I don't know where the video description for your device is, but inside of that I have links to all my various channels, like my Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and again, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and literally awesome people are in fact literally beautiful and literally awesome. I am sweating so much. I went from freezing before I was recording to actually to literally burning up right now. I'm just sweating. I am so hot. Yay. But thank you, each one of these people. It is greatly appreciated. I wouldn't be alive, nor would my pets, without this help. And if you'd like to help me out, that would be very cool. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, I have a PayPal link down below. And if you'd like to help me out without sending cash, there's an Amazon wishlist link with stuff like cat food on it. So thumbs up. Don't feel obligated. I don't feel entitled. And if you can't or you don't donate, I take all good wishes and I deposit them in the bank of my heart where I draw interest. So thank you very much. And if you could toss me a like, I appreciate all the positive validation I get from my existence. And if you could hit the notification bell, that'd be very cool. Well, thumbs up. I'm going to be taking it easy today because as I look on my thing, it's Saturday. And Saturdays are slow, so are Sundays. So thumbs up for that. I'm going to do what I can to be creative. I'm also going to be taking it a little bit easier than normal because I am not fully recovered from feeling like being hit by a truck yet. Hopefully you can get done the things that you want to get done, but if you don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Life is just life. So, until we meet again. Well, first, of course, I'm going to say this. There are still... The graph is going down, aside from the occasional surge. But people are still getting sick. People are still dying. Please be careful. Be cautious. Be smart. Get vaxxed. Get boosted. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and quite frankly, I do think that is a very good idea.